No radio? No problem. Stream us live on saga960am.ca.
You're listening to the Marc Patrone radio program. If you'd like to call, here's the number, 416-640-0200. That's 416-640-0200. The Marc Patrone radio program, heard exclusively on News Talk, Saga 960.
And we are back. Well, they've got their heavy hardware, assault rifles, walking around the streets of Milwaukee, places like that, Madison, Wisconsin, and some of these people are Antifa or associated with groups like that, maybe BLM, just the same people who are destroying statues, monuments, basically trying to overthrow the government, and nobody's pushing back against these people, and nobody's even reporting on it, except Miles Kristen, who joins us now from near Madison, Wisconsin. Miles, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Talk about the mood down there. What are you seeing?
Okay, so, after George Floyd's death, there was a protest in Madison, and in many ways, the police helped create a confrontation. What the police should have done was to watch the buildings that night, and they basically created this confrontation. It turned into a riot, and, real quick, I want to say that the rioters, kids of all different types, there's a lot of narration of, is this group of kids or that group of kids. It was all sorts of different groups of people. But, okay, so I was actually up there yesterday, and, you still have vandalism all over the sidewalk, obscenities written on the sides of buildings. It's been there for a month now. It's like take a pressure washer and wash it off, right? So there's been rioting, looting, vandalism. They've ripped down statues. The city of Madison has allowed them to just escalate and escalate and escalate. I mean, vandalism, looting, rioting, statues. And last Friday, there's this outdoor fancy mall called Hilldale Mall. They took it over, right? They took it over. They had a cookout, barbecue, dance party, and the Hilldale Mall basically had to bend over and say, we enjoy this family-friendly event, and it was not a family-friendly event. And also, it's pretty stupid, in the middle of the virus, to be having a cookout like this. The Dane County, where Madison is inside of, is putting all these new restrictions on restaurants and bars and anybody that does food or drink. But when people set up a protest block party, well, then there's no regulations at all, and they just allow it. Well, on the way back from Hilldale to the Capitol, there was this march of cars, like 20, 30 cars, driving the wrong way up a one-way street, a big, big street called University Avenue, and at least two people were carrying what looks like AR-15s. And the media is not talking about it at all. I talked to a person who works in the Milwaukee police, and he said a similar thing happened on the same night. This was, last Friday. So Madison has completely lost its mind. Every time I think it can't get any crazier, it gets crazier.
But your gun laws in Wisconsin are a little different than what we have up here in Canada. You can leave.
Yeah. Okay, so in Wisconsin, we have open carry. So you could just straight up carry a gun, Wild West style, any way you want. That's totally legal. You don't need a permit. If you want to conceal your gun, you do need a permit for that. But the thing is, if you're breaking the law while carrying a gun, that is an issue.
Yeah, but okay, so just so I'm clear, if I'm an American, I can walk into, a Walmart in Madison and buy a handgun and then just walk around with it in my hand or in my belt?
We have a waiting period depending on the type of gun. I think
like a Beretta or a Glock or something like that.
Yeah, I want to say handguns there's a waiting period. Rifles, you might actually be able to walk right out with
a shotgun. Like if I wanted a shotgun, for instance, and I wanted to carry this thing, say, in a gunny sack or something like that, or put it in my belt like a Smokey and the Bandit style, just kind of have it hanging off the side of my my belt. I could do that, right, in Wisconsin?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, in Wisconsin, and it depends on state to state. But like you look what happened in Seattle, where they had the whole CHOP or Chaz, or what the hell it was called.
CHOP or Chaz, yeah. Either or.
I feel like Madison's getting to that point where, once you start having armed protesters marching around, they might actually take over a part of the city. And I disagreed with the reopen protesters carrying weapons back, in March or whatever to push their cause. Like, I believe in the Second Amendment, but I also think it's kind of silly when people carry guns as part of their message, and the whole thing of, like, if you start having these kids walking around with guns, and they're kids, they're not trained, they're not adults who have gone through training, these are kids, and you start having these kids marching around with guns, and you're going to have the militia, right-wing militia types carrying guns, and it's just not, they're escalating the situation, and it's not good.
Yeah, because, eventually what you're going to have is pushback against these protesters, demonstrators, anarchists, these radical, violent people, basically looking to overthrow the country. Let's face it, that's who the Marxists or whoever they are. But eventually you're going to have people who don't want to give up the Constitution, who actually appreciate the United States and want to keep it as a constitutional republic. Eventually they're going to be pushing back, and they're going to say, you know what, we got guns too.
Well, one thing I got to interject is, like, so you have Black Lives Matter, the hashtag, you have the Black Lives Matter organization, and then you have people who are concerned about criminal justice and police reform, right? And I have several male black friends in Madison who all want to see criminal justice reform. They all see the seriousness and the problems with the way policing is done in America, right? But a handful of guys I know in Madison have not gone to the protests in Madison. They said, one, because, the COVID situation, it's not really safe, and two, they also know that these protests in Madison are being organized by people with a radical agenda, a socialist agenda that they don't want any part of. They care about police reform and criminal justice, but they don't want to be pawns to some bigger socialist agenda. And I notice this all the time, that it seems like people of color in the United States are greatly ignored on their opinions if they happen to support capitalism. It's like, if you're not a socialist, then, they move on to they spotlight on people who have a socialist or anti-capitalist agenda, and they ignore people who support capitalism, and when they have the same concerns that of the issues we're speaking about.
I keep seeing these polls that have Biden up double digits, in some cases 15 points. Hard for me to believe, but these polls do exist. Do you think that there are a lot of Trump voters out there who are basically shy? I'm hearing there's a contingent of Trump voters, maybe even millions of them, who say, I'm not voting for Trump, but in fact are going to vote for Trump and could shock people on Election Day in November.
In the end, I was thinking about we really can't actually predict. The pendulum swings. The country. You look at 2006. The Democrats took back the House and Senate nationally in one night. They won Obama in 2008 and more seats in the House and Senate. And then in 2010, Wisconsin, for instance, lost governor, state House, state Senate, all in one night. As well as, I believe, nationally, that's when we lost the Democrats, lost the U.S. Senate. It swings back and forth, and Trump's response to COVID has been not good. I disagree with it, and I think that's really hurting him. This was so unpredictable of a situation, and I do think that is one thing that could really cost him the election. I think a lot of Republicans might not vote. The big question is, how many voters will the Democrats get out over the next few months? And, they're not campaigning. They're texting people. They do these mass text messages, and that's about it. And it's always like this organization of an organization. It's like they text me and they go, hey, so-and-so, I'm so-and-so with such and such group. Do you want to turn the state blue? Go to this website. And it's like, nope, that's not going to work. But they can't really campaign. They can't have campaign events. They can't really knock on doors. They don't call people. I mean, that would be the simplest thing to do, would be call people and register voters. I mean, the small town I'm in, there's a Democratic campaign office that somebody must have donated to their party, and it's been empty. It's just empty. It's sitting there. It's got a couple signs in it. But, like, you know, election's 4-5 months away, not even, and like, what are the Democrats doing to actually register voters and get them going, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Crazy stuff. We'll have to see. I mean, to me, a poll in the middle of July, you know, months away from an election, I don't know. I'm not buying. I don't think people should put a whole lot of stock in it. And I still believe that there's a lot of Trump voters who are just not tipping their hand for whatever reason. Anyway, thank you so much. Really appreciate you coming on the show, Miles.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Miles Kristen. Check out Wisconsin International Radio. And Miles comes to us from near Madison in the great state of Wisconsin. Our final scintillating segment of the week up next, right after this.
Stream us live at saga960am.ca.